Hey, how's it going? My name is Albert. I'm also known as FedHex, and this is a video sort of focusing on how you can find a beat, how to find rhythm. I'm guessing there are a lot of people on the internet who are trying to go around figuring out how to do this whole dancing thing. They're watching dance videos. They're learning a little bit of choreography here and there. Someone's like, do this, then this, then this, and this, or whatever. And then they turn on some music and they're like, let's all do this together. 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're like, what? What is this 5, 6, 7, 8 business? This is all craziness. I mean, this is, to be fair, us dancers, this dance instructors, it's just one of those things we sort of take for granted. It's kind of intuitive, but I want to really dive in to get a really clean understanding of what this 5, 6, 7, 8 business means. I want to get a really clean understanding of what music theory is in general, and how it's important, why it's important. It's so important that you understand just the fundamentals of music theory. So that you can be a phenomenal dancer, right? No dancer out there is phenomenal. No really good dancer doesn't know how to keep a beat, right? I mean, you need a beat. You need to understand the beat before you can be a good dancer. And so hopefully this video is going to give you some understanding of how all that stuff works. So I'm going to talk about theory. I'm going to talk about why it's important. And then after that, I'm going to talk about how you can use it to your benefit instead of letting it abuse you, because I think a lot of people fixate on theory and let it just sort of infect their brains in bad ways. And I want to sort of explain some of that away so that you can use it to your benefit. So that's that. So I'm going to start with theory, music theory. I mean, let's take a really big meta picture perspective on what music theory is. I like to think that music is an arrangement of sound that creates expectations and fulfills expectations in interesting ways. And that conventional theory, like music theory, are patterns that we tend to use, or that our audiences will understand and appreciate, that we can create patterns with and create expectations with and fulfill expectations with. So that's all like crazy, weird, out there mumbo jumbo. So to give you an example, uh, just give this a listen. Ready? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. That's pretty awkward, isn't it? That's actually really annoying, in fact. If you wanted to be annoying, you would just pop your head into a room and do that, and then leave. And there are a lot of reasons why this is annoying. First of all, well, I mean, there's basically fundamentally one reason, which is that you've created an expectation, and you're an asshole because you didn't fulfill everyone's expectations, right? You just sort of let people hanging. Why would you do that, right? It's sort of like telling a joke and then withholding the punchline and just walking away, or it's like saying, it's like inviting people over to your house to let them see a movie, and then like 20 minutes from the end, you just turn the music, turn the power off, and you kick everyone out of your house, right? Like there are these like rules of conduct when it comes to listening to music, and the standard thing is that you set us up, and then you punch them down, right? You line them up and you punch them down, and that's sort of like all it is. And that's why music theory is so important, because we as dancers need to know what those expectations are, because we're interacting with those expectations. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my high horse for a second, and I'm gonna say, wow, isn't that interesting? That all we had to do was modulate sound in really interesting ways to create an expectation. That was just sound, right? We create expectations with pitch, which is the modulation in frequency. Oh, that's a pitch thing, right? And then we have a very regular, regimented uh, rhythm that we're going by. Do, re, mi, fa. There's no variance between each note, and also the content of the words that I'm saying. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That there's just sort of a pattern there, and we all have expectations that you want do to be the last one there, right? Um, and so that's sort of a big picture of a music theory, astral picture, way top down. And as musicians, it's really important to understand all that pitch stuff. But as dancers, I think it tends to be more important to understand that rhythm stuff. Because that rhythm stuff is what we align our bodies to, what our bodies are sort of templating against, right? And so let's give a primer on what are the patterns that are sort of embedded into this music theory that we can use as dancers, right? So the first big picture pattern that I want to share with you is that if you're watching this and watching online dance videos, you're probably going to be dancing to music that has around 120 beats per minute. Beats per minute is a definition of tempo. So like miles per hour is how fast people go, right? Or feet is a measurement of distance. Beats per minute is how typically musicians measure time. 120 beats per minute, as you would imagine, is 120 of them every minute. If you do the math, that's about that is exactly 2 every second. So I have a clock here. 1, 2. So beats per minute would be like 120 beats per minute would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, dot, 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 dot. That's ballpark where all sort of club music is nowadays. And that's important only to know that if you want to just sort of find the beat, just sort of, you might want to just take your watch out and look at it and be like twice every second. That's way too complicated. Don't do that. That's bad advice. Sorry, I take it back. Anyway, so you might, based on this, you might think if you're completely unacquainted with music theory, well, then that probably means that musicians, they say, I want a piece of music to be 4 minutes long. Then they do the math and they say 4 times 120 beats per minute would be 480 beats in total for the whole song. That's correct, yeah. But actually, that's actually not how musicians do it at all, right? Or at least I'm not a musician, but I mean, I used to be a little bit of a musician, but I don't think anyone does that. I'm pretty sure what they do is the more conventional approach, which is that you don't typically think of beats in sections that are that large, even though we say 120 beats per minute. We typically think of them in smaller groupings, right? And beats typically get grouped into groups that are powers of 2. So groups of 2, groups of 4, multiply that by 2, groups of 8, groups of 16, groups of 32, and so on and so forth, right? And the most common grouping of beats is this group of 4 thing. I don't know why in music theory this is so important, but this group of 4 is like super important, especially when it comes to club music. There are some variations in different types of music, like waltz, which is always groups of 3, and dubstep have some pepperings of 3 mixed in with the 4, but by and large, groups of 4 is what you want to be listening for. And so if you do the math, right, that's a group of 4. If each beat is 1/2 of a second, then this whole thing is going to be 2 seconds long. And by and large, that's this sort of a call and response, and you have like a, well, what about the, sorry, I've distracted myself. These whole groups of 4 thing, what we do is we count them off by 4s. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So you'll notice instead of counting all the way up to 16, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 to mark the second measure. A measure is a group of 4 beats. They're also known as bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, right? And sometimes when people want to count out subdivisions within those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if they want to count out subdivisions, they go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if you do that, and if this hand is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this hand is my ands, it looks like that, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you can't tell, I'm a finger dancer, right? Oops, I'll get my thumbs out of the way here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? And that's really, if you look at this is a group of 8 notes, right? So once again, that's this power of 2 pattern that just sort of happens. And, well, yeah. And so this sort of patterning, these groups of 4, they happen to be very important in music. It's sort of main concepts. And if you like listen to rappers, sometimes rappers say they want to jump on for like 8 bars or for 16 bars or whatever. And I guess it's one of these nice conventions that if that musicians like to create. Maybe you can think of them as like paragraphs in 8 or 16 bars. And rappers, once again, it's not like if you want to jump on for 16 bars, it's not like you do the math. It's like 64 notes. It's not like you're counting out 64 of them. You're like at like 52 and you're like, okay, I got like 12 beats left. Right? No one does that. I mean, that's just like a crazy, impossible way to think about it, especially if you're like coming up with crazy, weird lyrics. What you do instead is you just get a sense of music and you sort of intuitively understand, okay, the first 2 bars are going to be this thing. The next 2 bars are going to be this thing. And I'm going to repeat that. So that gives me 2, then 2. That gives me 8 bars. And then that's like one whole concept. And I do that again, and that gives me another 8 bars, and that's 16, right? Also, this sort of is an explanation for when you listen to pop music, when that like electric guitar solo is going to hit. Or you sort of, when you listen to techno and that there's going to be a breakdown at the end of, in this certain amount of time, you just have a feeling. Everyone in the club just sort of gets antsy. And then like, we all know that there's a lot of jumping that's going to happen in like 5 beats, right? That's because we have this beautiful pattern of groupings of beats in powers of 2. It's really bizarre, but it's really awesome. And so okay, so that's like an architectural perspective. That's the gridding. That's the piping that sort of underlies the guts of what rhythm is, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. But you listen. Oh, and if you need to find this, if you don't know what I'm talking about and it's kind of confusing, go online and search for house music. House music is a particular form of music that is kind of notorious for its like really overt, obvious thump, 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 thump. It's just a bass beat, or not. It's a bass drum, that kick drum. Yeah, that's like kind of always going in house music at that 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 1 is slightly accentuated to give you an understanding of where the next one is. Often also the melodies typically line up with that, or they do line up with that, so that if you try counting 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll pretty much get it. But obviously there are other forms of music out there that are just not house, and they do like really weird what's called syncopations, or different variations of those beats, where you sort of elongate certain beats and you sort of truncate other beats, right? So instead of thump, 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 another beat could be like, I'm going to try to, let's see, boom, boom, taka ta ta ta, boom, taka ta ta ta, boom, taka ta ta ta. So boom, taka ta ta ta, boom, taka ta ta ta, boom, taka ta ta ta, boom. So try to nod your head along actually as I do this. Boom, taka ta ta ta, boom, taka ta ta ta, boom. So one thing that you might not actually be noticing is that as you're nodding, I'm going to do this in slow-mo, boom, taka ta ta ta, boom, taka ta ta ta. I'm actually not making a percussive noise on the 2 and on the 4. What I mean to say is I'm saying boom, taka ta ta ta, boom. Right? So surprise, like just because you're nodding your head to the beat, there doesn't always happen to be noise on those beats. Sometimes those are just rests, and sometimes you have these weird like elongations and stretchinesses in the rhythm. But your head's gonna nod to, instinctively, it's gonna nod to the 1, 2, 3, 4, even if there are no notes there, right? You're not gonna go bum, taka ta ta. If you're like listening to the music and you're trying to nod your head to it, you're not gonna like wait for the actual noises to come. You're just gonna, boom, taka ta ta ta. And so this is sort of instinctive, and this is something that we understand, and this is something that's already there. So if you're having trouble with this, let's talk about why. Why might we be having trouble with this? Um, and I have some theories, and one of my theories is that you're a beginning dancer and you're learning moves on the one side and you sort of understand the music theory on the other. Maybe you were in like orchestra in middle school or whatever. But you just can't get them to match up. You just can't you can't put your body in this like grid or this architecture of like notes and time signatures and all that stuff. You just don't get it. And that's fine. That's totally cool. Just understand that you don't get it yet, and work on it. And my advice for working on it, and let me know if this works, is to lock yourself in a room with music and forget all the theory that I've just taught you. Right? Just completely wipe it out of your head. Turn up the music and wiggle around and just watch yourself. Right? I wouldn't actually put up a mirror if you're wiggling around, and I'm asking you to dance poorly intentionally, just to the music. Just like try to be as in sync to the music as possible. So as I described earlier, if music is an organization of sound that creates expectations and fulfills those expectations in interesting ways, I would have to say that dance is an organization of physical gesture and your body through the dimension of time that creates expectations and fulfills expectations in interesting ways, right? So fundamentally, you're going to want to know how this rhythm stuff works, but you should just shut your brain up and just jump in a room and you're going to like create expectations. And once you sense this breakdown coming, you're going to sort of wait for it and then you're going to like kill it, right? You're going to go all Harlem Shake on it. Actually, I shouldn't have made that reference. It's the Harlem Shake, by the way. You should go watch some serious. Harlem Shake is a serious sick dance. It's really sad that those videos came out because really didn't. Anyway, moving on from weird internet phenomena. So if you dance poorly in a room listening to music, you might notice that you're gonna like sway to one side and then the other side, and then one side and then the other side. If you're listening to conventional music, you're not going to do things in groups of threes. You're just not. Because groups of threes don't match nicely with things that are powers of two. They just simply don't. Then, in fact, that's a good math question. Does any group of three, is any power of, no, that's not a good math question. The answer is no. Is any power of two divisible by three? No, clearly not. In any case, the point that I'm trying to get to is that if you dance and just sort of like groove along to the music in any way that you want to, and you notice, oh look, I'm digging twice over here and I'm digging twice over here, and in fact my ones are on the left side, right? 1 2 3 4, 2 2 3 4, and you can like maybe just sort of apply a count on top of what you're already doing. If you're having frustrating experiences in the beginning, here's what sometimes it looks like when I watch people count. I'm going to play some house music here. 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. So here's sometimes what I see, or this is what I imagine a beginner frustration might be like, is you're like 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, and 2, and 3. If your brain is feeling like you need to like just I need to be there. Here's the deal, right? Rhythm isn't, and music isn't. It's not like a train that you're like trying to catch up with. It's not like you need to like jump on board and you're always late. That creates a lot of anxiety, and you don't need that sort of anxiety, right? Because your job as a dancer is to just enjoy the music and create expectation for other people, not for yourself, right? So you need to just sort of get with the program, and that's fundamentally what needs to happen. Is that you need to assert some confidence. You really need to assert confidence to say that beat of 1, 2, 3, 4. I gotta have swagger with it. I just gotta like let it be known that is sort of installed into my spine, and that's just gonna be there, right? So that's just sort of installed into your system. Then you can kind of move around and whatever, right? Music is not a train that you're trying to catch up to. It's more like a a river. I don't know. It's like a it's a thumping. It's a stomping. It's as if you're like already marching to the beat, as if you're in a marching band, and everyone's already stomping and owning that beat. You're a part of that marching band. You can't. It's not about you trying to catch up. It's you are a part of the party that's creating the experience, right? And so you should just sort of dive in and jump out whenever is convenient for you, and really own that, and let that be a part of sort of your resonance as a dancer, as a performer, as someone who is a creator, who's doing interesting stuff. Um, and Yeah, I think it's sort of, let's see, I covered theory. I covered why theory is important for you to understand, and I covered as a beginner, this exercise that you should just sort of get yourself in this dance space, watch yourself, and watch yourself just sort of owning the thing. It takes a little bit of bravado to really own a dance floor, and to really assert that, like, look, my physical presence is actually that important, that it's just gonna be here, and it's gonna move to this rhythm that is sort of surrounding all of us, right? So yeah, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, tell some friends who don't also know how to dance. Also, this is sort of a departure from my typical programming. Typically what I do is I create videos for people who want to learn this form of dance called liquid, which is rave style dancing. So if you want to learn those particular things, check out my channel. Check out that playlist. I'm also probably going to do an advanced video for those liquid heads, to talk about how you can use rhythm for your liquid. I say probably, I haven't done it yet, and I have no idea how hard that'll be. Anyway, so yeah, check out that playlist, subscribe and like, and tell your friends, and post everywhere. Alright, thanks, peace.